Carolien van Ham is a lecturer in politics at the University of New South Wales, and she joins us now live from Sydney. Thanks so much for joining us. According to earlier polls, if we can trust them, the far right had risen. Tell us what changed over the last decade in the Netherlands to push people toward the political extreme for this election.
Well, there's a couple of reasons that would explain the rise of the extreme right. Most of the extreme right supporters tend to be of socioeconomic lower classes, relatively disadvantaged people, older white voters that are either unemployed or live on a very or rather low income. And I think increasingly the feeling among those people was that they were not as well represented anymore as they used to be by the Labour Party and by the left-wing parties. And so they started looking for an alternative. And it's particularly among this group that the anti-immigration story has found popularity.
It's interesting, though, our correspondent Simon mentioned earlier that one key difference between this election and the Brexit vote that he covered is the frustration with unemployment and feeling left behind isn't quite the same, that economically the Dutch actually have fewer complaints. Do you think that might prevent the populists then from winning here?
No, I think that won't be the key reason. I think the key reason will be that the Netherlands has a multi-party system, contrary to the UK. So we've always had a system wherein more than 10 parties generally are represented in the parliament. We have coalition government. So people have a lot of options. And I think people that are starting to see what is happening in the aftermath of Brexit and after the election of Trump, maybe people who thought they would vote for Geert Wilders' party as an expression of protest are now reconsidering. And so we've seen this shift back to mainstream parties in the last 2 weeks of the campaign.
Okay, now some parties have ruled out a coalition with Geert Wilders if he does win. But is that realistic? Would they have that choice?
Well, look, the tradition in the Netherlands is that the largest party gets the lead in the coalition formation. So if the polls are indeed wrong, and as was suggested before, that might be the case, and if the PVV, Geert Wilders' party, becomes the largest, he will get the first lead in forming a coalition. And it will be likely that he will then approach Rutte's party, the VVD, and the Christian Democrats, CDA, to discuss a coalition. It remains to be seen if that will be enough, if a fourth party will need to be included in order to get a majority into the parliament. And yes, negotiations will be very difficult. So it's quite likely, due to ideological differences, that those coalition talks will break down. And then it's up to the second largest party to take the lead in coalition formation.
Okay. Carolien van Ham, thank you so much for joining us there live from Sydney.